thinking that today's readings are among the hardest and heaviest message that we will receive all year. At first, when we read this story, we're surprised by Jesus' words to Peter. I mean, Peter says the same thing we all would have said to Jesus. When he begins to say, I'm going to go to Jerusalem and there I will suffer and die, what would we say? Oh no, not you. Surely not you. Why was Jesus so strong in his language against Peter? I'm thinking there were several things happening inside of his mind and heart. First of all, it says Jesus begins now to share with his disciples about Jerusalem, which means, I'm thinking, he himself, meditating, finally understood what he had to do. And so Jesus himself probably just recently decided, I'm going to Jerusalem, and there I will die. He freely chose that journey instead of going home. And I'm sure, back in the desert as he began, we talked about the times of his temptation in the desert. Well, that does not mean that temptation was one time only in his life. If you remember, it said there that the devil withdrew to await another opportunity. Well, I'm thinking now that Jesus himself was feeling that temptation to go back to Galilee, to preach there where it was safe, or perhaps to give up preaching altogether and go back to working with wood. And that's why he says to Peter, you are an obstacle to me. And he also calls him Satan. But I think there is also more that Jesus is feeling. It says here he is trying to instruct and teach his disciples about the meaning of the cross itself in their life. The question, would they understand what I'm trying to teach them? And Peter clearly did not understand. And not only would they understand, but would they themselves follow me? All these questions in Jesus' mind and heart would explain why he is so angry, if you will, at Peter. And so the rest of the gospel, Jesus is not chastising his disciples. He's trying to help them understand the central place of the cross for his followers, and in his own life as well. Just last week, Peter was the one who proclaimed, Jesus, you are the Son of God. And John says, God is love. And so Jesus is explaining to his disciples that he must be true to himself, to his nature. It is to love, and love includes sacrifice, meaning the cross. Jesus chose to go to Jerusalem. He freely chose it. Why? Because he wanted to be honest with himself. He has come to give his life to ransom people. He has come to love to the end. Love, he teaches all of us, includes sacrifice, necessarily. And what is true for Jesus is true for his disciples, for his followers. If we who are made in the image and the likeness of God, then we are called and put here on the earth. It is our nature to love, which includes the cross, necessarily. To be true to ourselves, we must embrace the cross. Paul, in our second reading, puts it this way. He says, offer your body as a sacrifice to God. Or, in the image of baptism, as we go into the water and come out, we die to ourselves and live for God. We lay aside selfishness, because sacrificial love is our nature. And the opposite of it, sin, is selfishness. Sin means I'm thinking I'm number one. It's all about me. And I'm here to take care of myself. I'm here to be happy in the world's way. I am here to be safe. And Jesus says that is sin. And he has come to free us from that sin. And so he himself must choose the other way and teaches us to choose that way as well. Give up our life. We see it beautifully illustrated in our first reading as well. Jeremiah, he doesn't call it the cross, but he acknowledges that he has to. It is his nature to proclaim the gospel, to proclaim the word of God, and to accept the suffering that comes with that. We have many examples of people who live this way, people who have embraced the cross in their life. We could just look around this room right now. The first ones that come to my mind are you who are parents. The sacrifice to love your children. We have fathers who are working 2 jobs just so that their children can go to a good school, like St. Bernadette, or can participate in athletics and so forth, have a full life. We have moms who are single-handedly raising a family somehow. Well, the how is sacrifice and love. And you who are grandparents, wow, how much you give in support of your children and their children. To love is to love sacrificially, to give of ourselves, to live for others, so that we can live for our God. Soon, we will be bringing up our gifts and placing them on the altar. Bread and wine. And we will begin our prayers. I will say, pray, my brothers and sisters, that our sacrifice is acceptable to God. But what's the sacrifice? Bread and wine? They don't cost us much. It is what they symbolize, which is ourselves. We place on the altar our lives. We place on the altar our sacrifice of this last week. Those times we have chosen to love and have chosen that narrow door, which leads us also to the cross. We place on the altar our sacrifice, our life, poured out in love given freely to God.